Welcome to the Uncle Jim Effect podcast. My name is Dennis DeLoach, and today I will be your host. Welcome to episode number 41. Today's topic is on courage. We're going to discuss that at length. But first of all, I want to say thank you for the tremendous growth we've experienced as a podcast. We're currently on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we've got almost 40,000 subscribers, and it's just amazing. Thank you. Please subscribe below if you haven't already, and share this with your family and friends, and let's create a tsunami of hope by helping millions of people realize their God-given potential and then magnifying that in the service of themselves and others. Let's get on to the topic today. Again, courage. Nelson Mandela had a great quote, and I want to start off with that. He said, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. So courage is conquering fear, and the only way to conquer fear is to face it head on. So whatever in life you have that you're afraid of, whether it's the fear of heights like me, whether it's the fear of public speaking, or it's the fear of failure, the fear of people knowing that you're faking it, the fear of financial ruin, whatever that fear is, you need to face that fear. And we'll talk about some ways to do that and how that works. But courage is overcoming fear. And the only way to overcome fear is to face it. Maya Angelou also said this, and I love this. Courage is the most important of all the virtues because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. So, whatever virtue we're talking about, and you can name any one of 100, whatever that virtue is, if you don't have courage, you really truly can't practice or grow the other ones without courage, because to grow a virtue takes courage to face that you don't know what you're doing in some areas and to face that fear. So if it's truly the most important of all virtues, we better talk about it just a little bit. So another kind of different areas of courage that I like or want to talk about, some of the definitions. That says courage is a state of mind that allows individuals to overcome their fears and to pursue their goals, even when the odds are against them. Right. So we talked in our last podcast earlier this week about the blind man, Eric, who climbed Mount Everest. And we talked about the Terry Fox, the one-legged guy who had his leg amputated at the hip. He ran across Canada over 2,300 miles, I believe, with one leg while he had cancer. And in fact, at the end of that race, he was pulled off the race because he was near death. And he ended up dying not too long after that. So courage is the ability to face fear, and when you face it, you overcome it. And so that's all it really is. It's not, doing extraordinary things. It's just whatever the fear you have, it's facing it and overcoming it. It's the ability to take risks or make difficult decisions and persevere through any challenges that might be unique to you. Fear of heights might not bother you. For me, it is a tremendous fear, and I've had to address that and dealt with things specifically in my face about the fear of heights, and I've overcome it in the sense that I faced that fear and overcame that adversity. That doesn't mean I want to hang out on the edge of cliffs like some people, but if I had to, I could. Again, courage is not the absence of fear. We all have fear, probably in every area of our life, multiple times each day. But courage is overcoming that fear by facing it head on. The worst thing you can do with the fear is to avoid it. So I don't do that because I'm afraid, because that fear then grows and grows and grows. When you face the fear, it actually dissipates, shrinks, and goes away because it's not such a big thing at that point. So Tom Shay, my friend, the Navy SEAL, asked a question once and it really hit me. And he said, if there was nothing left to lose, what would you spend your life doing? Think about that. If there was nothing left to lose, what would you spend your life doing? And by that, I thought he meant if you had no fear and you didn't care anything about what people said, and you didn't think, well, if I do that, I'll lose my house, my money, my business, my friends, my family. If you didn't have anything left to lose, what would you spend your life doing? And the answer to me was anything and everything. Because if you had no fear, it's nothing would make you afraid and you would try anything. And that's the whole concept we've been discussing this year about 10xing our life is what if you could actually 10x? If you set a goal at 2x, whatever in whatever area you're talking about, what if you could actually 10x that? And think about that. And that's how you approach this mindset. You know, again, this example, let's say I need to lose weight. So I want to lose, let's say I need to lose 50 pounds, but I would say, well, I can't. I want to lose 10 pounds. What if you said, I want to lose 55 pounds? What if you could do that? You know, what would you do? How would that change your life if you had nothing to lose? Well, you'd probably take all these things we've talked about. You'd probably take one day at a time. You'd have a good mindset. You'd think about it. You'd focus on the process. You'd do those things. You'd have the courage to do the things you know you need to do. And it's nothing more than simply on a daily basis facing the fear you have in whatever area you're talking about. Whatever that fear is, and you know what it is, whatever that fear is, in each area of life, excuse me, face that fear, whatever that is. Uh, Overcoming fear always allows you to perform and to perform better, and that is courage. I specifically remember my terrifying fear of heights. And so when I was challenged to do that Moab Trail half marathon, it's on the edge of 300-foot cliffs for several miles. And I mean edge, I mean within a foot or two flat rock. And I remember that was just overwhelming to me. And I thought, well, as long as I focus ahead of me, as long as I don't focus on the fear or the obstacle, focus on what I got to do, I should be fine. And one step at a time, I did it. And by the end, the overwhelming feeling I had of gratitude, accomplishment, self confidence, self esteem, just it never left me. And it was just such a spiritual moment to me to know that this massive fear that literally my heart pounds if I see a cliff on TV, and here I was standing on one, to know I overcame that. It wasn't near as difficult as I thought, and yet that has taught me so many valuable lessons. Uh, I was also asked, "What would you do if fear did not exist?" And that's basically again anything. You know, you if you weren't afraid, you would never question a 10x goal. Instead, now you're like, oh, I can't do that. And you go through the list of why I can't. Yet, when we have no fear, and again, all no fear is the courage to take whatever fear pops up, face it, deal with it in an abstract way, don't give it credibility, and just deal with it and face it, and it disappears. So, what are some of the effects in your life or benefits you'll have if you deal with fear directly by having courage? And that's our topic today is courage. First and foremost, I think it's going to inspire others to take action. I think people that know you have a tremendous fear and they see you on a daily basis face that fear and overcome it, that inspires others to do the same in their life. You're going to encourage other people to overcome their fears by the actions you take. It's going to make you feel more power. You're going to be self empowered by overcoming those obstacles. It's just a building block. When you face fear, it empowers you tremendously. Trust me on that. It gives you a never quit attitude. When you have a fear and you overcome it, you actually believe you can do anything. And you can, and that's the mindset of this 10x life we're trying to live. Marianne Radmacher said this: courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. How many days in my life where I've thought, just the courage to say, you know what, today didn't go like I thought. I gave it a great effort. There were too many stumbling blocks. I didn't succeed. So the greatest courage some of the days in my life was just going to bed knowing, hey, you know what? I'll get up and I'll try it again tomorrow. And that is great, tremendous courage. It's going to give you increased level of results. When you express courage in your life, I promise you, your results will improve because as you ignore fears and leave them in the closet, they get bigger and bigger. And now your mind is consumed with this monster in the closet. It's negative thoughts, and I didn't address it. I should have addressed it. And that thing's in there and it's massive. Instead of opening the door and realizing fear is nothing but a little punk, and you face it and it disappears. And then all of a sudden you realize, wow, I can do that in every area of my life. And that will empower us. Obviously, self confidence is going to improve. Like I said, when you face it and overcome it, it is one of the most uh, one of the best things you can do in your life to improve your self confidence is to face the fear you have in your life. I would make a list of the top 2 or 3 fears in your life and face those and try to make a game plan to face those fears as soon as you can. You will continue to grow in every area of your life when you face those fears. And it's exponential because you don't realize how much fear is holding you back. And once you open that door and see that fear is a little punk and it doesn't have any control over you, you then realize that it empowers you to grow and to go in so many areas. Nelson Mandela said this, and I love it: the greatest glory in living lies not in never failing, but in rising every time we fail. And I remember my oldest daughter gave me this saying before I went on that trail marathon after I tore my Achilles, and I said, I'm going to finish that race. And a lot of people told me not to do it. And she gave me this little quote that just basically said, fall down 7 times, get up 8. And I kept that with me, and it's one of my treasured possessions. And it is beaten, battered, and worn. But if you fall down 7 times, get up 8. And that's the key to courage. You're going to have continuous breakthroughs in your life when you have courage, and then it's going to give you such a positive outlook on life because with courage and facing fears, you realize there's nothing that life can throw at you that you cannot deal with. And some people are so courageous in some of the things they do that it inspires all of us. And so I am grateful for people in my life that express courage and have faced adversities. I'm grateful for the adversities I've faced in my life. I'm grateful for mentors that have had me look fear right square in the eye. I'm grateful that I've done that, and it took a while. And so I challenge you now to list 1, 2, or 3 fears you've had in your life, specifically one at a time, whatever that greatest fear is, and make a game plan right now to address that fear, to face it in some form or manner, and see what that doesn't do to your life to empower you. And then I know that will be a tremendous breakthrough. Have the courage to go do that, and I know that you will benefit tremendously. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Let's continue it forward. Please share this with your family and friends. Again, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we just are loving the grow. We've almost got 40,000 subscribers, and we're going to continue this movement forward to help millions of people realize their God-given potential. Have the courage to go out and get after it today. And thank you so much for joining us along the way. Bye-bye.